Board meeting to order for November 7, 2022. Please join me for pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Starting off, we have citizen participation. Mr. George Randall. Mr. Randall, how are you, sir?
Doing better, thank you. Nice to see everybody here tonight. I mentioned to the board some time ago when you were talking about the trees going to be cut on the Dufresne property as far as the forestry management. I mentioned that there was a large tree that I wanted to find that was identified many years ago. And I thought it was a great oak tree, but it may turn out to be a beech tree. And I'm not sure. I do have a fellow that will come down and go into the woods with me and look. He knows about where it is. It's Reggie Dufresne. And what I wanted to ask the board is for permission to go in there on a quad. I'm kind of limited as to where I can walk or how far. And I think total time on the property would probably be about 20 minutes, half hour max. So I would ask the board to at least consider the request. I don't know if there's any records here of in the selectman's office of where the tree was, or do you know anything about it, Crystal?
Just that my father-in-law Reggie Dufresne had contacted me asking if it would be possible, which I'm going to have to recuse myself from.
Right,
because
I understand.
he's a relative.
No, I understand.
Yeah, but he just said that you wanted him to locate the tree, but I'm not sure what the sentimental, I guess, I didn't understand the sentimental value of the tree, I guess.
It's not a sentimental thing to me,
Okay.
but I think it was the tree may have been registered somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And it's back past where my memory is still good. So I'd ask you guys to discuss it amongst yourself, and if it can be done, fine. If it can't be, well.
The purpose is to locate the tree so it doesn't get cut down?
Correct.
And you're thinking it won't take more than a half an hour?
You know,
An hour?
at the most.
Yeah.
If I understand the forestry management, it's going to be on the Kendall Street side, going up the first road on the left side, or in that general area. I thought it was further in the back, down towards Bobby Rule's property, but apparently it's not. So I seem to think that it's going to be an easy find now that the leaves are off the trees.
Yeah.
I don't need an answer right this minute, but if,
No, I'm just thinking, top of my head, I'm just thinking it's a safety concern. If we
Yep.
could maybe reach out to, I know the fire department has a all-terrain vehicle where someone could, be out there too. We just concerned that something does happen and you're out there and it's not the normal thing.
well, yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't be alone.
Okay.
I would not do that by myself.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on it right now?
Yep, that's where I was gonna head. Make sure you're not out alone, that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But,
don't know the bylaws on letting motor vehicles into the back part of that property.
I know that they're not supposed to go there. It's the same with snowmobiles.
Right.
But they're up there all the time in the winter without anybody's permission, and I just thought I would ask for permission.
Yeah, I would think it would fall our purview whether or not we
Yeah.
want to allow it.
Exception
Sure.
or something to the rule.
And if you don't, I will certainly understand.
We'll look into it a little bit further to make sure that there's nothing, any concerns, but
Gotcha.
we'll get back to you
Yep,
shortly,
thank-
okay?
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Mr. Robinson? Okay, sir.
Good evening, Nick Robinson, 114 Pleasant Street, Granby. I'm here today because a couple weeks ago, Mr. Beaulieu asked me a question, and I don't think I was prepared for that and answered it clearly. So I just wanted to come back today and answer that. And I printed out sort of some guidelines from the CCC on zoning for businesses, micro businesses and cannabis businesses, and I just wanted to pass that out to you guys. But under this guidelines, it says municipalities have the authority to adopt ordinances and bylaws that impose reasonable safeguards on the operation of licenses, provided that they are not unreasonably impracticable, and do not conflict with state law or regulation. Unreasonably impracticable means that the local law cannot subject licensees to unreasonable risks that require such a high investment of risk, money, time, or any other resources or asset that a reasonable, prudent business person would not operate a marijuana establishment. And I just believe that the zoning that only allows it in industrial areas, we don't have enough industrial area in Granby that allows people to have access to the industry. Most of our industrial area is already operated or being used by established businesses. It's wetlands, it's forested area, it's the landfill, and none of it's for sale. I did an MLE or an MLS search earlier this week, and there was nothing for sale. So yeah, I just wanted to hand this out to you guys, if I could. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the research. That's awesome.
I look forward to answering any other questions about my plan going forward. I know this is going to be a process. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving right along, I'd like to welcome our Senator, Eric Lesser. Senator, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Thank you.
Well rested. Ready, permission to start? or-
Absolutely, sir, when you're ready.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the board. Just for the record, I want to say State Senator Eric Lesser. Really just wanted to come by to say thank you to you, to the town, and certainly most importantly to the people of Granby. I'll be wrapping up my term in a few weeks at the end of the year, and I just wanted to say how much I have been honored to represent Granby in the State Senate, how much I've enjoyed it. A lot of great memories in this room right here. And I want to thank you, Chris, also for your partnership and the entire town. It's really been a pleasure to work together. And I do want to just say to the people of Granby how much I've appreciated their trust, and certainly have some updates on the budget and the ACT-F bill we did last week. I'm sure happy to answer that, but I really didn't want the time to go by without really just saying thank you. And a lot of great memories. Just driving over, everything about the Veterans Memorial, the work we've done with the seniors, the work we did on Chapter 70, and a lot more left to do. So I'm not leaving town. I'm not moving or doing it. I'll still be around, but I just wanted to really come by and say thank you.
Well, I know, definitely appreciate that, Senator. And, you definitely will be missed. I know my past, 5 years on the select board, you've been a familiar face, and anytime we had any questions, reaching out to you or your office, always got, response and things like that, as well as, you make an appearance here, just kind of letting us know what's going on for our town, what the state has for us and things like that. It's always been greatly appreciated. And like I said, I know you will be missed.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate everything you did to help me and the rest of the town here.
Thank you as well. I just started my term.
Yeah,
so I'm not
congratulations.
familiar with you,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
I know you've done a lot for our town. So
No,
thank
thank
you.
you. The best advice I ever got was on my election night, the first year I won. A friend of mine called me and said, "Congratulations, Lester. Now it's all your fault." So that's the best advice I can give. But yeah, I just really wanted to say thank you, and great community, and I'm certainly not. It's not goodbye, because I'm still around, and I do want to thank Stefan, who's behind. I know you work closely with Jennifer Metch and Michael Clark before that. So and we'll be prepared. I know obviously tomorrow's election day, so we'll be prepared for whoever my successor is, to make sure that they're up to speed, and we'll get all the files transferred, and we'll make sure that it's as smooth as possible for everyone.
All right, appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't expect anything less but a professional from you. So.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
So can you tell us, all the money? That's
Yeah.
coming in the game?
Yeah, on that note, I brought a check. No. So we do have good news, because I know that there was a lot of, consternation about the economic development bill. It didn't get done at the July 31, normal end of session. So we did get that done last week through informal session. All of the sort of cash elements, the operating budget elements are in there, including some really significant additional tranches of the ARPA money. The full package is over $3 billion. We also included fully funding the Chapter 62F tax rebates, which are starting to hit the mail now, but will be continuing to hit the mail for people all through this month. Two big pieces of unfinished work is that the bond authorizations were not able to be included. It's a little bit of a technical issue, but we require roll call votes for bonding. Because it was being done in informal session, we couldn't do roll call votes, so that couldn't happen. So that's going to be, I think, high on the agenda for next term, for my successor, and for the new session that starts in January. And then the tax provisions that were in that economic development bill, including the estate tax, significantly for Granby, the property tax circuit breaker for seniors. We're going to be expanding that, as well as the rental credits weren't able to happen. So that's going to be is a commitment from kind of everyone to get that done as soon as possible in the new session. Hold them to that. But there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of additional new infrastructure money in there for Granby. And the other piece of good news is there's still well over $1 billion left, even after this allocation that we just did last week, for the next administration, the next governor, the next legislature to appropriate out of ARPA. And knock on wood, the state revenues are continuing to be ahead of benchmark. So I don't want to say it out loud because you don't want to jinx it, but it does look like we'll be in a strong revenue picture, both with the unused ARPA, but also our own state revenue collection coming into the new year. It's a strong position. So, I hope that we'll continue to get that local aid local aid number notched up. We've been doing it in steps, but hopefully that's going to continue. And a big piece of unfinished business that I do want to kind of, as a private citizen, I will be advocating for it is the continued support for the schools. I think Granby probably didn't get what it needed out of the Student Opportunity Act. That was a very important law that I participated in writing, but communities like Granby didn't really get a lot from it. So we've got to just make sure that, I think the next thing we've got to kind of continue to work on is the school funding, especially for rural or more sort of semi-rural communities, like Granby.
Definitely appreciate that, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're trying to get Chapter 90 up, that's been a long process to get, and I'd love to see a 2-year Chapter 90 appropriation one day. So we'll continue to aim for that, and I know there's a lot of local projects you have pending, but the good news is that ARPA tranche is done, so that was done last week. Yeah. So hopefully in a few weeks you'll start to see it flowing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Yeah. Anything?
No, yeah.
Crystal, you have anything for the center?
I was actually curious, and I was just doing a little bit of research on the Community One-Stop application.
Yeah.
And there's a Rural and Small Town Development Fund grant that's out there for capital and community planning projects. So, as you had mentioned, we do have quite a bit of projects that we need done that we need funding for, and I know this Community One-Stop application grant kind of combines all 12 in one. So the document was 120 pages, I think, and I think last night I got through 20 of it.
Wait,
So
which was
it's
120 pages? The
Community One-Stop application
Oh,
for
the
the
guide,
rural
yeah.
small town development, and they have each grant in a separate PDF, and they're very long. But I was curious to know if, I guess what our next steps would be. We don't unfortunately have a grant writer. We've posted it many times. So I know we work with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission when we do have grants that we know we can get and stuff. But this one-stop application that they have, I focus on the rural and small town because, like you said, it talks about how we have decreased enrollment, infrastructure issues. So I don't know if you have any advice as far as to where we go from there.
Yeah. So it's a great program. It's fairly new. The
Yeah.
Baker administration started it maybe a year and a half ago, and it's popular. The idea here is to really be almost like an analog to the MassWorks program, which I know many of us are very familiar with. The idea behind MassWorks was to take a variety of different infrastructure programs that were housed at a variety of different agencies and bring it all into one portal, one application. So this is kind of the kind of equivalent to that for community development. And the rural program I'm very familiar with because we wrote the legislation to authorize it through the economic development bill from last year. So I think you're doing the right things, and you touch upon a bigger issue we have, which is technical assistance for smaller communities. The cities they have planning departments that do this in teams, that do this, full time. So in the absence of a grant writer, I think you're right to engage Pioneer Valley Planning Commission because they have the most baked in expertise, and we can certainly facilitate that. If there's questions you need answered or you want to get on the phone with someone from EOHED, we can help with that too and facilitate that, and certainly obviously advocacy, letters of support, and pushing for it. Myself, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure Rep Dom and Rep Carey would join me in that. So I think that's exactly the kind of program that I think Granby should be aggressive at pursuing, for sure. And the way it works is that's a capital program, so we authorize the bonding for that, but then it's administered and the disbursements are approved by the administration. They certainly take our input, but it's not a direct appropriation the way it is.
Okay.
When we do an earmark or do an operating line in the state budget. So
Is that something that's due to continue after the governor?
that's a good question. Yeah, so it is an executive program. I would assume so, or some version of it. There might be tweaks, but for example, MassWorks, I believe, was originally started under the Patrick administration. Governor Baker continued it. So there's a tendency when things are working well to keep, and that program has gotten really great feedback. So I think communities have generally been pretty happy with it. Again, it's pretty new. Yeah, I mean, it's because it was certainly during COVID that it was launched. So it can't be more than a year and a half old. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, keep in touch, yeah, thank you so
Chris,
much.
do you have anything for this item now?
No, I just wish them well.
Thank
I
you,
don't know what
Chris.
you're gonna do with all your free time
I
now.
know, I was asleep a lot more. I know, I'm not gonna miss the driving, that's for sure.
I'm sure you won't.
No, appreciate it, yeah, and
Sure,
thank
you
you.
can find something to do.
I do, yeah, for the record though, I do, because I know, you know, I just want to publicly thank Chris Martin as well, and the whole team in Granby, and certainly the senior center staff, the police and fire, really great. It's a really well-run town, and really great public servants here that really enjoyed my work with the schools as well, so I just really want to make sure to thank them all as well.
We appreciate that very much, sir.
No problem, take
Have a
care.
Good night, Nathan.
Good night.
Too.
I know you're gonna be working for the wife. All right, I'll see you up there.
Don't be a stranger. All right, thanks. Sure will, thanks.
We have some time before our 6 o'clock update with the Veterans Hall Committee. Chris, do you have anything you want to go over?
If you want, I can go and do the things under town administrator.
Sure.
For Dufresne rentals, I have 3 rentals. First one is for June 3rd, 2023, arriving 12 p.m., departing 6 p.m. Maximum number of people is 150. Liquor, no. It's a graduation, and the area being reserved is the parking lot area, the open field, the wooded areas on either side of the open field, and the pavilion. Next one is for June 17th, 2023, arriving 11 a.m., departing 7 p.m. Liquor is not at this time. Maximum number of people is 70. It is a family reunion, and it is the area being reserved is the parking lot area, open field, wooded areas on either side of the open field, and the pavilion. And the final one is for June 24th, 2023, arriving 10 a.m., departing 10 p.m. Liquor is no. Maximum number of people is 199. Type of function is a graduation, and the area being reserved is the parking lot area, open field, wooded areas on either side of the open field, and the pavilion. The next item is building commissioner update on position. As I reported prior, the building commissioner, the current building commissioner is leaving around Thanksgiving. The problem is South Hadley's building commissioner also left. We really don't have any surrounding community we can try and rely on. However, I was able to find a retired certified building official who used to work in Agawam. And he said that he'd be able to probably give us 8 hours a week to help us out for the interim. We are in conversations with PVPC, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, and they are trying to develop a program that hopefully will be able to address our long-term needs in both having a certified building official and inspectors. So it's still a work in progress. It's going to be a work in progress, and hopefully we'll be able to get a program just like the one that's offered up at the Franklin Regional Council of Governments.
So the gentleman from Agawam with the possible 8 hours a week, would that be, what would we have him do for those 8 hours?
We were talking about having at least 2 hours of set office hours, more if need be, and then the rest would be out doing inspectional work.
That's my concern, is that the inspections and permits and things like that are going on without delay.
Yes. And when we want to set the set office hours so people can know, contractors can know, come in between these certain hours, and he will be available for them to talk to.
Well, so start.
And you would start in November, Chris, November around?
Whenever Greg leaves is,
Okay.
I'm planning on having him in the next week.
Could we have him come in before?
Yes, I gave Greg his phone number, asked him to give him a call to set up a meeting with him so that the two of them can go over what is going on in the office at this point in time.
Because we're only a couple weeks probably away.
Yep.
It'd be nice to at least have them overlap for a week or so to kind of talk about what's going on and what's, where he's leading things when he
Mhm.
leaves.
So, but I did ask Greg to call him today, gave him his phone number, so. COA director, you had asked me to develop an initial want ad for the director of senior services. Do you need a copy of it, Glenn, or do you have one?
I think I have one, I've never seen it. I can see it on that.
That was my first run through. It was a very basic draft, just so you know.
It's pretty much like the one we had several years ago that went out.
Yep.
How does our salary compare to like other towns?
Low.
Yeah.
That was the one item I wasn't sure if the board wanted to adjust.
Well, I think it's important that we are competitive, based on what the, surrounding towns, same type of size as we are, to see what they have and what they're offering and things like that, because when these positions come up, people tend to, put in for positions where they feel they can make the most amount of money sometimes. So, I just want to make sure that we're in the same type of range so we can provide for our seniors, because we have a hard time for being right now, filling in. It's important that we can, have a full-time one as soon as possible, so that's kind of concerned that, when we go out to advertise for it, I want to make sure that we're, in the right salary range, so we are getting people that are interested in applying for it.
The problem that we're gonna have, and actually it's a statewide problem that we're finding with various positions, is the competitive salary. Because what's happening is you're finding communities attracting people, qualified people from other communities by offering more money or more benefits. And the problem becomes is Granby can only compete to a certain level,
Right.
okay? And trying to be able to attract quality people at the same time as trying to compete with the larger communities sometimes is just not economically feasible for us.
And I would agree. I mean, that's why my point is try to be in the same type of range as a town comparable to Granby. Absolutely, we can't compete with some of the cities or larger towns because we just don't have the ability to do something like that.
And I am thinking about raising it to 40 hours a week instead of 35, to maybe, that way we can attract somebody that they can get things done outside of normal operating hours a little bit better. Have time to be able to go out and, yeah.
My pen died, so.
No, that's okay, it's just, to be able to go out and do home visits, being able to go out and do other things, other paperwork without interruptions during the course of the day too.
Well, I like that, it makes sense, you know, that availability and extra time to go out and do things. So not so much time is, well, obviously the time is being spent here, but they had, you know, those extra 4 or 5 hours a week can be doing house calls and stuff like that.
Wellness checks, things of that
Yeah.
nature.
Yep.
So,
Is this one of the jobs where it's hard to get them in, the council on aging director in there in several towns? My train of thought is, do we get a job sharing thing going with the neighboring?
You're
town?
finding,
If they're in the same boat.
you're finding that's happening in a lot of the positions now. I remember a while back, probably about 4 or 5 years back, there was a big push for regionalization of services.
Yes.
And what we're finding is due to the lack of qualified personnel, we're sort of being gently nudged to
In that
regionalization of services. But the problem you run into with regionalization of services is a lot of communities want to have control over the individual and not give up control to another community because we're sharing with a larger community. And that's the problem that we've run into in the past is prior boards did not want to give up that control. And this board has to decide, do we want to do that to try and get a qualified individual and just share that person's time?
Yeah, I have other questions. Well, you know, let's say you share it with this other town, you're going 20 hours here, 20 hours here. In that 20-hour period, are they going to be able to do what we need for here and not have to fight with this other town of getting our...
Everybody's,
Are they going to be able to do it
everybody's,
for another town, or are they going to be able to do it for us?
everybody's friendly when
Yeah.
you're putting it together.
Yeah,
And then when the person actually starts doing the work, you find they may need to put extra hours in a community versus the other during certain times of the year, and that's where sometimes the breakdown occurs,
okay.
to be honest
I
with
can see that issue happening, that's okay.
you. Yeah, to be honest with you.
And we still
It's
need
an
to have-
idea.
And we still need to have someone here to open the center and close the center and opening and to supervise, right? So even if we had shared, so we would decrease hours basically, if we had shared services.
Well, my question.
I think for supervisory, we could figure that out.
Like have an assistant or something.
Or even if, when they're not here, if there's a major question, I'm here all week long. So if it came down to that, our office could assist with supervisory or answering questions in the absence of the director.
You were going to say something?
If we're gonna look at a shared service, and we're saying that, you know, we're looking at share service of 20 hours, but here we're posting for a position that we feel is 35 hours a week, could have go up to 40 hours a week, as you said, additional 5 hours. So my question is, if the position is a 35-hour a week work week where they have time and responsibilities to fill that work week, and they can cut that to almost in half, it seems like you're gonna lose services.
Either that, or we have to hire additional staff to take on some of those duties.
It's a part-time.
Yes.
My train of thought was if you split it between the two towns, we can bring the salary level up, where it's affordable for our town or affordable for this other town, if it's even out there.
Right, but then we'd have to hire someone else too.
Yeah.
So we'd have to hire another.
Yeah, I know, you gotta balance, figure out the money aspect.
Yeah.
Chris, do you know off the top of your head what the other towns are offering? Because you said it was slightly lower, so.
I'd have to go out on
Okay.
there's a state website that I could go out onto. I think it's the Mass Municipal Human Resource Association. And they usually have a booklet that you can go in and look up what certain positions are paid and what they get for benefits for various communities.
So the current salary range that you have here, the 48,000 to 56,000, is that based on where we were before with cost of living increases?
Yes. And my thing is, I don't know if you wanted to bump it to 60, if you wanted to bump it to 60 to 65, to try and attract people here.
I wouldn't have an issue with going from the top step to 60,000 and still starting off someone at 48. Always looking at someone's experience for the position. If you have someone that comes in and has a great deal of experience, it gives us an opportunity to offer some more money where they can see themselves, topping out at a higher level in the years to come. So that's always beneficial. It doesn't mean someone comes in here and we're starting them off at $60,000. It's a salary range. You start off at a certain point, and that's where you can get to.
That makes sense.
Well, I think that's why you have to look at your range, because you're probably going to hire someone mid-range for that. Because the low range would be somebody with absolutely no experience whatsoever, and you become a training facility for them. You're not going to, I think, want to go down that route, to be honest with you.
To your earlier point, that you do that, and then that person ends up going somewhere else, because that person now has experience and may decide to go somewhere else.
Right.
Because they get more money. I would
Right.
say they would, but someone could.
So I think the board has to sort of create a range where wherever the midpoint is, you're comfortable with paying that for a 40-hour-a-week position. Like I said, I just threw numbers in there. I knew that the board was probably going to have this discussion regarding compensation.
Well, in respect to our Veterans Wall Committee, I mean, it's gone past 6 o'clock, so we'll table this for later on. Gentlemen, would you like to come up and at least let us know who you are, and love to hear all the great things about the wall.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Jason Richard. I'm the current chairman for the Veterans Memorial Committee. This is a project we started in 2012. It's gone through many variations, and we are where we are today with a wall that's halfway constructed. We have a tank pad that will hopefully be prepared by the time the frost hits. We've done a lot of work. We started last month, and as of today, like I said, half the wall is up, so the foundation's poured, half the wall is up, and it's been backfilled as of today.
Okay.
So the form work will start hopefully this week, and the top half of the wall will be completed by the end of the week. Other than that, if you already know, we already have the bronze plaques. We have all the service emblems. Everything like that was ordered through a state grant. So all that's currently at the West Street School.
What was with the tank?
We have a tank. It's currently at Fort Evans. The tank will be moved as soon as the excuse me, as soon as the tank pad is poured and prepared, which will happen in the spring
Awesome.
because we ran out of time.
That's great. That's good stuff.
Just so you know, this would not be possible without the gracious donations of time of many Granby contractors and also surrounding businesses.
That's great. Obviously it's a great reason to be part of it. And I know people are excited to wait for it. I mean, as you said, it started back in 2012, and It's getting to that point where, it's gonna be real. You can get to see it, touch it, feel it, and all that good stuff. I'm excited, remember all the different phases that you were going through, and you were sitting on the planning board, just get those parts of it and watching the plans and stuff like that, really to see everything really just to come about, it's exciting, it really is.
Thank you guys for all your hard work on it. I know it's been a long haul for you guys, so thank you.
I appreciate it. Just need an application to get a name on that wall.
Sure.
Looks like there's
And I
one
got
in
the
back there.
DD214s out in the truck.
I definitely like to, when your committee has a chance and opportunity, if you could give us a list, obviously, of all the committee members, all the people who provided services and donated time and things like that. I know I'd love to just make that announcement here in one of our public meetings, just to recognize the committee and all the individuals that helped out along the way to make this such a, like I said, 10 years. And
It's a lot of
here.
fundraising. The Friends of Granby Veterans, all the members there as well, really are the unsung heroes.
No, like you said, I think it's important that we to me at least, to get all that acknowledgement out there to the people that really took part and really to bring us home.
Mhm.
It's important. I'm sure all the little kids are going to see the tank.
It'll be a centerpiece, but
Yeah.
obviously the wall with the plaques and all the names
Yeah,
is,
That's going to be awesome.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, just like anything, that when you can go up there and just, again, just see it, feel it, touch it, and just be part of it, just. Anything else?
Right.
No?
You got an end date?
hopeful end date.
Hopeful end date, yeah.
We're hoping to have a dedication ceremony on Veterans Day of next year.
Next year, beautiful.
We were hoping for this year, but that's just not gonna happen. The big part of the project is the concrete work. In the spring, we start the flat work. So
Yeah,
then after that, it's landscaping.
nice.
Tricky nature of volunteer-based labor and help, and with winter, we'll have most of the wall up and established before it snows. We'll prep the site for more flat work, concrete for the spring. As soon as it's workable weather, we'll hit the ground running, finish off the concrete and site work, tackle the plantings. So we'll have all summer to put the finishing touches on it. And by Veterans Day of 2023, we should have a fully completed park.
Excellent.
Sounds like a date.
The end is within reach.
Excellent, great job.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank
To all your veterans, happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Well, 6:15, why don't we move right into our update from our fire chief, O'Neill.
Evening, sir. How are you?
Good, Chief. How are you?
Good. So you're looking for an update on the pieces that are in the
Bay, are they still in the
They're
bay?
no, they're not in the bay. They never were in the bay. We have a Connex box up in the
Oh, up in-
top, and we, like Jenga pieces, put them in there, and they're sitting there. Obviously, when the snow flies, it's going to be hard to get them because it's up on a non-paved area. But right now, they're not in our way. Preferably, I wouldn't like them to be out there all winter, but again, if there's an issue moving them, they can stay there. There's only spare tires for some of our apparatus in there, but we can have access to them if we actually needed to.
We allow permission to go into West Street
Yeah.
building, right?
Yeah.
You want them out there even sooner?
Whatever works for the board. I, again, they're not bothering me, they're not impeding any of my operations, so.
You got that application? Sorry.
So
The application?
is there any damage or anything like that from where they are, or just from the weather and everything?
No, I mean, the Conic box is ventilated somewhat, but I mean, they were sitting in a barn on the
Yeah.
floor, so I mean, obviously, yeah.
What kind of box did you say they're in?
A Conex box,
Right.
yeah.
If we get you help
Those little
moving those
steel-
out of there, can we do it
Those little
ASAP?
steel,
Sorry, yes.
Containers.
Steel store, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's any, is there, do you feel there's a need to move them? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
I would move them
Especially
because
for
they're
this,
not controlled for atmosphere, so they
Exactly.
could get
Mold and rot.
mold and water damage, because if the box isn't, waterproof, you never know. When snow gets on the roof, it gets down through it.
no, is the box waterproof?
That's as waterproof as it,
the steel box.
yes, steel possibly can be. I mean, there is the factor that it could get snow on top and have snow melt and leak.
Yeah.
Again, it's spare tires and equipment that is out of service, or, so.
Sorry for interrupting earlier, but Mr. Weatherby was the scoutmaster, and I was wanting to get his attention if he would offer the scouts to help you move those buildings over to West Street.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think
We-
it still depends on how heavy some of the things are.
It took us 4 loads on our,
Are they all folded up?
no,
They're built.
they're built, for the most
Yeah.
part. Four trailer loads on our trailer that holds our ATV. I have no problem moving them, if just give me a time that I have to move them, and I can get personnel from the station to do it. But again, preferably before winter would be the best option to move them.
Absolutely, you get coordinated with Mr.
When we look at, well, the space, we're gonna,
Mr. Carey would do it best.
yeah, we're gonna designate an area for them. And,
Didn't
Make
we
sure
go
it's
into
enough
West
space.
Street and make sure that we have room, Chris, if I recall?
We have
correctly?
room, but
Yeah,
if they're all still put together, it may be a little difficult getting it through the doors.
because they have that bar in between the double
Yeah.
doors too. Okay,
So they may have to be deconstructed a little bit to
okay.
fit them through.
Carefully, these.
Yeah, some of them definitely will have to be more deconstructed than others, just because of how big they are.
I'm just saying, I'm just mentioning, because those
Yeah.
doors are narrow. And if you're gonna put them in an old classroom, those doors aren't that wide either.
Now, they're probably standard 36-inch doors.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the gym doors are the same as the outside doors. I think those are the only doors, and I don't know what's in the gym right now.
Neither do I.
But again, does that door have the center?
Yeah, will be like the same outside doors. We'll have the bar in the center.
There must be
I think.
like a loading dock door, nothing over there? Red
Yeah,
door?
that is out back only, brings you down into that,
Yeah, but
where
you
the
can,
boiler room is.
you can take it down the back where the water tanks are. And once you get them in there, you can't move them out of
Yeah,
there,
you
because
can't.
the hallway doors are standard width doors.
Yeah.
That's the problem you're gonna run into.
So I would ask if you could kind of take a look at the space that's going to be designated for those things, kind of take a look at it and see what you think needs to be taken apart.
Okay.
What's going there. Then we can, look at your schedule, what works for your schedule. We can look at a time for that.
You should coordinate with Jeremy.
Okay,
It definitely, Jeremy's gotta be involved.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll reach out to him.
Yeah. So let's figure out something that works for you, both of you.
Okay.
Like I said, just have to look at the knowledge of what you have as far as what
Yeah,
you're moving and where it's
come
going.
on.
and-
Okay.
Yeah.
And it brought upon the scouts, because they have to do X amount of hours of community.
No, I'm totally fine
Yeah.
with that too, if, for community service, that's fine, or hours, that's, so.
All right then.
All right.
Anything else while you have me here?
Yeah, before you go, Jeremy has asked in the past if he could store the large snow blower
Okay,
in the fire department, one of the fire department bays, to keep it warm,
okay,
because if it's not kept warm, it takes about a half hour for the hydraulics fluid to warm up enough to operate. And he was just wondering if he could store it in one of your side bays off on the side, just so it stays warm. And it can be operated immediately during a snowstorm.
I guess it's how big it is, because we've changed our base so we can actually drive the apparatus through now.
Talk with Jeremy.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you can accommodate it.
Okay.
Accommodate it. You
Yeah, I
can,
mean, if I can, I will. If
Yeah,
not, then.
maybe it's something we can look at, if we know there's a pending snowstorm, that is something that's.
Well, I don't want to store it in there all the time. I'm just
Yeah.
saying
Just
is,
for the winter.
if we know that it's going to be needed to be.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, if you know there's a pending snowstorm coming up that goes in there the day before, something like that, if
Okay.
it can fit. But follow up with Jeremy and see if it works.
Okay, I will.
Where is it located now?
Right now, it is out at the old garage by where the war memorial is.
Okay.
But we do have that enclosed structure that's being built down at West Street School, and it will be stored down there.
Does Dave have any room in the?
No.
highway department?
We've asked David if he has a spot where it can be stored. He said he doesn't have any at this point in time.
But the whole point of also bringing it to the fire department so he can use it on that property during the snowstorm, right? So even
It's
if it was
easier,
not the highway
it's easier for
department.
snow removal
Yeah.
because, at the fire station, because of all the curb cuts and
Yeah.
the way the sidewalks are.
And it's a public safety issue too, to get them cleared out.
Yep.
Well, it's usually areas too, but.
Yeah.
I did have a question while you're here,
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
don't mind, for one of the departmental reports.
Mhm.
What does the C, or COOA mean? A1, hold on, lots of notes here. So it says A1, oh, no, sorry, OOS.
Out of service. So
Okay.
our A1 is currently out of service for suspension repair. So we're currently using South Hadley District 2's backup ambulance.
Okay.
So
Estimated time on how long?
hopefully by the end of the week, we just dropped it off today, and with the look of their bays, with all the stuff that was in there, I don't look like the end of the week's promising for that. So it's been it's been an ongoing issue, and we just found a leak from it's called liquid spring suspension, so it's not airbags, it's some different kinds of, to keep it, it's just a better makeup for the ambulance, so.
And then when you said year-to-date on one of your reports, is that fiscal year 2023, or is that from when you started till now?
When I started till now.
Okay.
Sorry, for what?
This was for the overlapping calls?
So that's for the whole year, but from January 1 to current date.
And that's just something that we can't help, right? Because, I mean, our ambulance is already taking care of other people, so we have to call.
Not right now, there's fixes possibly in the future,
Okay.
with buying a new ambulance, is keeping the old one, if it's in, and then, staffing's always gonna be an issue.
Okay.
But if you can cut half those calls, take half those calls and cut that in half, even if billing at the BLS level, you're bringing in some kind of revenue, instead of losing.
Pay for the employees and bring in revenue.
Yeah, it'll offset the cost. I can't say that it'll per se pay for it, but it'll offset the cost of that, so.
How's everything else going?
Good. They're actually doing live fire training right now as we speak. Rules and policies are implemented. Still a long way from where I want us to be, but definitely an improvement from my start to current day.
Good.
Good.
Good. Anything
All
else?
set? No?
Crystal?
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Take
Have a good
care.
night.
You too. Chris, want to circle back to the
Council on Aging discussion?
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, where I am with it, I would like to, I guess, kind of really see what's out there before I say just to increase the salary range. But just by, some of your comments, and I would think that that's something we're probably going to need to do. I'd like to have someone here full-time, and instead of having a shared service. So I think one of my goals would be to see if we can fill the position with a full-time person, and then if we can't, and then maybe look at a shared service.
Well, yeah, that's the only reason I threw that out there,
Yeah.
is if we can't fill the position
Okay.
at the current pay, is
Yeah.
we could reach
Yep.
out and try to get a shared service, just to
Right,
have something better than nothing.
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just kind of see what the other towns are, a salary range was, set ours accordingly. Obviously, like I said, you can only do so much, but.
When I was looking up the description on this, just in general, just to see what other towns had out there, they had master's degree. So, again, I don't know if it's the bigger towns, bigger cities that are requesting that, but the pay would be reflective of the degree that they have as well, right? So when you're looking at it on the state website for the Mass Municipal Human Resource Services, we should also be looking at their years of experience not only, but also their education as well.
Well, that's all part of the hiring process.
Well, it just says bachelor's degree on here, that's all.
Well, that's the
So-
minimum that we're asking for someone to have.
Okay. And do we want to say on here at least 5 years experience in a senior management role, or are we limiting ourselves there if we are that specific? Because this says in social work, gerontology and human services field. So I didn't know if we wanted to specify a senior management role.
I like having the description kind of a broad view, because
Okay.
it gives us more applicants, hopefully, and then we can kind of look, kind of go from there. I think if we're looking for, again, Chris had noted to it too, if we're looking for someone that has a great deal of experience, because maybe someone has a great deal of experience means they've been working somewhere else for a different town. I think what we may be looking to find is someone who has been working at a senior center or counseling and aging for some years at that lower level management, not actually the director, who's
Right.
looking to make that opportunity and have that change and have the opportunity to be their own person running it. So.
Totally makes sense. Maybe we should do it the other way.
All right. So just kind of let us know at the next meeting, if you could, Chris, where some of the salaries that are out there. Moving right along, we have our departmental reports. So if you have a chance to review them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
The only thing I had was there's still a lot of acronyms being used by the departmental reports, and I know that them in the department, they know what they mean, but reading this, if it hasn't already been referenced in the notes, I don't know what it is. So the Board of Health had said SAS for the community systems, just stuff like that, if we can just have the departments make sure that they're putting it in what it is first, and then using the acronym afterwards, I think that would be very helpful. So we're not
Makes
trying to
sense.
guess
Yep, that
what
makes
it
sense.
is. I think that was.
Chris, we can just draft a letter to all the boards, committees and department heads, just let them know. It is helpful. Sometimes you're reading things and it's just, acronym after acronym, think what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was at after a while, and then there's so many different acronyms that mean different
Yeah.
things for different departments.
Absolutely.
Every business has their own acronyms.
Right.
Law enforcement, fire department,
Yep.
or teachers.
Yeah, so but anytime it's the proper way, anytime it's being used the first time, it actually
Absolutely.
is spelled out, and then that way, whoever's reading it knows. All right. Good point, Crystal. Anything else?
I did No, I think that's it for the departmental reports.
All right.
So I will make a motion to approve the departmental reports.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion this time? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We have approve and sign maintenance warrant.
So we have a bills payable warrant, number 29, fiscal year 2023, dated November 4th, 2022, in the amount of $219,638.53. And we also have a maintenance warrant, number 28, dated October 28th, 2022, in the amount of $459,746.16. So, sorry, I am making a motion to approve these warrants.
I'll second that motion to approve and sign maintenance warrant.
Any further discussion?
I did actually have one question I wanted to ask about the water testing. Did we hear back from Boston at all yet as to whether or not they approved?
We just sent the second required report to DEP last week,
Okay,
and we're waiting to hear back from them on that.
okay.
All our tests have been negative, all our
For
tests have been,
months, yeah,
so,
okay.
but DEP runs slow, they require 2 or 3 reports before they will release the order.
So we might be looking at another report before, okay. All right. That's it.
So all in favor of the maintenance?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. We have to approve the minutes from the executive session of October 26, 2022, and also our regular sessions from June 7th, 2022, June 27th, 2022, and September 27th, 2022. We'll start off with the executive session from October 26th.
You have a copy of that?
2022. I think I have a copy here.
I think there's a copy in the minutes too.
Sometimes it's before there, so. This one's from last week.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments in regards to the minutes? Executive session?
This is the executive session from October 26th, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I did have some things I wanted to add. I know during this meeting, Councilor O'Toole was there with us just to kind of guide us through the requirements needed for open meeting law. And where it says, in reviewing the minutes, a question was raised regarding how detailed the minutes needed to be. Town Council O'Toole advised the board as to the requirements for the meetings under the open meeting law. I wanted to add that the executive meeting minutes are to be taken with more detail than the regular recorded meetings since they are not recorded. A summary of all topics should be given at the very least. However, the Attorney General's office would like more detailed minutes. Councilor O'Toole also explained that the select board is responsible for the minutes, not the town administrator or assistant town administrator. So if they cannot do them, then it falls on the select board to do them. So just kind of like the summary that he gave us, so we all know what we're responsible for doing. So I wanted to add that to in the reviewing the minutes, that section.
All right, so why don't you give what you want added to it to Chris or Kathy? We'll have that added to it. and we'll look at approving them at our next meeting with the additions. That way everybody has a chance to review it again and look at it for our next meeting.
Okay, I still had two more that I wanted to add
Oh,
as
that's
well. So as to the September 13, 2022 minutes, that
Just-
section there.
So we're done with the,
No, I'm still on the executive session.
okay.
Yep. So, for that section there, I wanted it to also be added. Mrs. Dufresne wanted to include, so I'm still following along in the same lines, but I'm adding more detail from what was said in executive session, that she was concerned about how the town was going to pay for the increase in pay to the lieutenant, since it was not originally factored into the budget. And then Mr. Martin responded by saying that the 2.8% increase would be paid by the ARPA, American Recovery Plan Act funds, for the next 2 years. So that was what was discussed in the executive session, so I just wanted the minutes to be reflective of that.
But that was included in the September 13 minutes as amended.
But I thought the executive session was supposed to be a summary of what we discussed during that session about the previous sessions, no?
We changed the actual minutes to reflect that statement, though.
But we don't have to, in that executive session, say what we discussed in that executive session, I guess is, so
Well-
I guess that's where I get
Well, you approved the
confused.
minutes as amended. So now we
Okay.
have, the minutes are actually reflecting those statements.
Okay,
So I don't see why we have to reiterate the same thing in the October 26th meeting minutes of
Okay.
what was, of the minutes that were amended with those statements in it that were made public at the last meeting on October 26th.
okay. So I guess that's where I get confused, because when Counselor O'Toole was explaining it to us, he said it needs to be not verbatim on who said stuff, but every single thing that was discussed during it needs to be in there.
But we amended the minutes to
Right.
reflect what your concerns were.
Okay.
So they.
So they
it
don't
was-
have to be part of that meeting's
Right.
minutes?
Right.
No,
Okay.
because you approved them as amended.
Okay. So then the next paragraph would also not be in there because it was approved as amended for the
Yes.
following one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so then just that first one.
And so that the board members know too, if you have any other questions that come up like that,
Yeah.
you can feel free to reach out to
O'Toole.
Attorney O'Toole at his office, and ask the question too, and
Yeah.
let us know. Yep.
I'll have to get his contact.
Yeah,
from
he's always
Chris.
available to answer any questions that you may have if you're not sure about something.
So I'll leave this over here for Kathy then, and then we'll look at it again once it's drafted.
Okay.
And then these were the warrants, sorry.
All right. So we're moving on to our regular session minutes from when we start off with the June 7th, 2022. So any issues, concerns, comments in regards to those ones?
Does the newer one reflect the FF? Okay, the FCC. So we just used our acronym in there, so it should say Federal Communication Commission now, so that we know what the FCC was, because I wasn't
Okay,
sure what the
yeah,
FCC
yeah, no.
was. So I will make a motion to approve the 6-7 minutes. Did we already make a motion for the October 26th? Or are we going to
We're
review
gonna
them first and then make a
Right,
motion at the
well,
end?
no, because you're adding to the.
So we're holding
one,
off
So
on
we're
that
holding
one.
off on
Okay.
that. Those will be brought back up at our next meeting,
Okay,
because you want to
Amend it.
amend them. So
Okay.
that way everybody has a chance to review the amendment at that point.
so I will make a motion then for the June 7th meeting minutes to approve them.
Is there a
I'll second that.
Any further discussion at this time?
I was actually curious, Chris, did he get the tractor parts yet? I know they were on hold for a long time.
We've got Probably half the implements, so
Okay.
we are going to ask for the tractor to be delivered with those implements, and then as soon as he gets the final ones, that they be delivered.
Okay. Thank you.
Seems like everything is just taking more and more time nowadays.
It's just not available.
Yeah.
Nationwide,
Yeah.
it's not available. That's the problem.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Yeah, that's the next one up.
Right. Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to approve the June 27th, 2022 minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion at this time?
So this would be another question, I guess, for Attorney O'Toole, but maybe Chris can answer it. For the executive session, Mr. O'Toole said that we had to write down non-union personnel, and then it's either followed by the position or their name. So is that required, that would be required here as well, right? So if it's a contract negotiations for a non-union personnel, he said it's either the title or the person. So do we have to specify
I
that
don't know if you
here?
have to go backwards in time.
Oh, so it's from
or
that date forward?
It's from the open meeting law forward that he
Okay.
advised us of what we need to do. So I
Okay.
think it's anything forward we have to do.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
All right, yeah, because the complaint was October 6th, so this one doesn't have to follow that. So no, that was it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. Now we have the minutes from September 22nd, 2022. Is there a motion to accept and approve the minutes?
I will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Thank you.
You're welcome. sir. Is there an update on the Dufresne Playground structure quotes?
We did get the 2 revised quotes in. Actually, I'm gonna get this put this folder up there for you guys. I'll try and talk from memory.
Okay. Thank you.
We did have 2 original quotes that were given. However, when we had the actual company come out that installed the original equipment, they recommended a change in what our inspector had recommended. So we then turned around and sent out asking for revised quotes based upon what the company recommended. And we now have 2 quotes. One is around $66,000 and the other one's around $41,000 to do the repairs to bring it up to a condition to be able to be used again by the residents of Granby.
Why such a difference? I mean, you missing something? Is
Did we have 3 at one point? No, just these 2?
We tried to get a 3rd one, but they would never return our calls,
Okay.
or return Jeremy's calls, I'm sorry.
Chris, do you know how much wood fiber they are estimating between them? Okay, they didn't write it on here.
Nope.
Or what the LSI equipment is, when they say install LSI equipment? Okay, because I was
Another
trying to,
acronym.
I was trying to match
Another
it.
acronym, don't know.
Okay.
Replacement parts. That's just
Yeah, I got everything right.
Yeah.
These are local guys, right?
Yeah. Now, I know one of the contracts is speaking to mass prevailing wages apply. But the other one doesn't speak to it. But that was part of the bid process anyways, right?
And anything $1 up on
Yeah.
any state contract is
It's all prevailing wages.
posted wage.
Yep. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's our next step, Chris?
Well, the next step will be to put it out for an appropriation at the next town meeting.
Speaking of next town meeting,
Yep.
we had a discussion here about a month ago saying it will be done sometime in November.
Yeah. Now it's gonna have to be probably sometime in December.
So we should
I
probably,
would probably look at January to get through the holidays, to be honest with you.
so maybe for our next meeting, we could look at some dates and set a date. So we're,
Okay.
there's something in the books for.
Let me check with the moderator and the town clerk
Yeah.
to see what days in January would be good for them,
All right.
and then we can set the date.
Okay. So obviously, I think, I mean, it makes sense, the $41,500 would be the way to go. The two quotes, one's for $41,500, and the other quote is for $66,890. Next, we have an update on the Monson Ridge. All right.
I'm Dave Desolé, representing the Conservation Commission tonight. So we've had, our charge there was to create in the CR is conservation restriction. I have a similar pet peeve, by the way, so I'm always asking, what does that mean? But we have to do a baseline report, and that basically documents the existing conditions of the area that's going to be assigned for this conservation restriction. So we've been out to the site a couple times. We've taken a few hundred photographs trying to document this site, but we did it over 2 sessions this summer. So if you're familiar with that area, it's highly vegetated, and there's trees and brush and everything else that's in there. The area that we were most concerned about is along the road, because that's where things could be dumped. And it seems to be in pretty good shape. We did find a tire here. I think what we were worried about is an appliance that you can't really see. So we've been, the report is, we've got a draft of the report started. But if you remember when we were here, I guess in May or June, when the developer was in the room, we promised that after we get everything documented, we would take 30 days to finalize the report.
Right.
So right now, we've got a draft of the report started, but we want to go out once all the leaves are off. So as you know, the leaves are off now. So we're looking at the next 2 weeks to go out and do a final walkabout. And what we need to do is memorialize each of the corners where we've taken pictures. We would like to do a walkthrough, or at least an investigation of the body of the larger site. There's 2 restrictions, if you will. There's a driveway in the middle. There's one that's basically underneath the power lines, which is pretty visible because they keep that vegetation down. But the larger area is where the wetlands is. And that we really need to walk through it to take another shot, if you will, the pictures. Once that's done, so we're hoping to get that done within the next couple weeks, then the following 4 weeks we would wrap up the report. And there'd be a map in there documenting every one of these photographs. There'd be copies and images of each of the photographs. And it's not all of them. We're going to be selective about which ones to give a good description of what's there today. And I learned that these, in Massachusetts, these CRs are required to have annual inspections, so that'll be in the report as well. And that, I understand, is something that's the town's responsibility to do these annual inspections. So that'll be all documented in the final report. So, and I've gotten permission that I can tell everybody that we're aiming at the end of the year. So by the end of December, or the 1st of January, we'll have the final document for you to review. So, any questions, or?
Well, I guess my concern is that, as you spoke to, when we had the meeting back in, I guess sometime around May.
May, I think, yeah.
Was that we kind of had a much sooner window, I guess, when the developer was here.
Mm-hmm.
So my concern is that the developer has been waiting. We kind of gave him an earlier time frame, and we're not meeting the time frame that we set.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that they're getting frustrated.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
so
appreciate that.
I would ask that we try to expedite this as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like I said, we sat here and gave him a timeframe that we thought we'd be able to, to accommodate.
Right.
And it sounds like, we're 5 months beyond that
Mhm.
by the time this is completed, so.
Well, I can take that back. If we can get it to you earlier, we will.
Yes, I mean, it's just, again, I would imagine they're gonna come knocking at the door soon, if you will, so,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
Any other question? No.
No.
Is it something that when you got on site, you just realized that there was a lot more work than originally anticipated? Is that kind of what the holdup was, or just where you have to like cross your Ts and dot your Is, where you're just making sure
It's
that,
basically a creation of a map,
okay,
and it's tying everything to a narrative then. And even though this is my first year on the commission, so I've never seen one of these reports before. So
Okay.
it's a document that's being crafted by our agent Janice Stone and Bill Shaheen. So they are the two that have been working on this. So I know that it requires some history on the site, and that's some of the difficulty that I heard was had as far as what was that land used for at some point in the past. I grew up in this town. It's always been wilderness to me. It's always been where the gun ranges are.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it was ever used before that. But those are the sorts of things that historically are part of these reports. So what the final document is, I haven't seen the draft yet. So I know Bill's working on pieces of it. Janice is working on pieces of it. And we'll get it to you as soon as possible.
I definitely appreciate the time that's going into this.
Yeah,
It's definitely a detailed report, and like you said, you found out that there's an inspection that needs to be done yearly.
That's a Massachusetts law.
So.
and when you say it falls on the town, is that the Conservation Commission that it falls on to do the yearly inspection, or?
Well, since that body represents the town, I would think,
Yeah.
yes, it does. And I would think the people on the commission, I'm learning how to do it, but
Yeah.
you'd have to have somebody who has the right eyes. I understand Kestrel Land Trust does this on their
Yeah.
properties, but I've also heard that they have wealthy sponsors, so they do that on their own benefit. But I thought, could the landowner, the developer, be responsible for that? And they're like, no, because the conservation restriction is for the benefit of the town.
Okay.
So it's our responsibility to inspect it once a year to make sure it's not being mishandled.
So-
and
Yeah.
that
Right,
people
so-
aren't dumping things
Yeah.
into it, so.
So it's a town responsibility.
It's a town
Right,
responsibility.
and the Conservation Committee is an agent of the town.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. So I would
Yeah.
guess it would be this body, but I don't know.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
You're welcome.
Take care. Moving right along, we have the update on the senior work-off program. I know there was some feedback from some of our, pretty much all of our departments. And if they could, how we could, and if we could utilize some of our seniors. So, there were a couple departments that there was, where they could be of some assistance. A couple of them, the fire department and obviously the police department were two of the ones that really couldn't have anything that would fall in line at this particular time.
Tax collector was right there too.
Right, yep, yeah.
Chris, could Jeremy use anyone at all during, for maintenance? Because I know sometimes he has like miscellaneous, like painting and stuff like that. But I know it's kind of like a hit or miss, right? And we have someone that goes around and cleans the buildings too, so they couldn't even help with that or anything, right? Okay.
No.
What about the library? They couldn't,
They
I know they
fall-
have volunteers though.
Yes.
Okay.
I know this came up earlier, we were talking about the COA. So if there's things that some of our seniors can do that could offset a, obviously not a director position, but some of the other positions could be helpful as well.
The clerical, that type of stuff.
Clerical work and stuff like that, or even, you know, I mean, it's something that our current director, or a new director can look at, if there's certain things that, whether it's, I think it's clerical type things as making phone calls and
Checking in
booking
on
rides,
seniors.
checking in and stuff like that. But even so with that, we'd have to then come up with a scale as to what that person would receive in lieu of, actually, well, it's considered a payment because they are receiving something for their time. It's reduced, and they're not reducing their taxes, it's money is being appropriated from the town to assist with paying their property taxes, so.
So I think when we had originally talked about this, we would need the town accountant and the finance committee to kind of advise us on how many slots would be possible for the town.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that question.
Yeah.
Did we have a cap on how many slots we can do?
A lot of towns do, but I think I don't know that they've met yet to
Yeah.
discuss that.
We did, I remember seeing I think Crystal brought it up, it showed the different surrounding towns and how many spots they had, and
Yeah, I
what
remember
the
seeing that, yeah.
qualifications,
Some
what
of
the
them a lot
qualifications
more
were,
than other
yeah.
towns, but
Yeah, some exceeded,
just looking what these
Some had
managers
income,
sent us, and
yeah.
there's not a lot
no.
we can do. I mean, we can't take in 100 people.
What about seniors helping out at the schools? Did we reach out to the school or no? Because that would be a
Because
department.
they fall under a completely different board.
Okay,
That's the problem we run into.
okay,
My personal opinion is that involves query checks and
right.
everything else.
All right, well, I mean, there are some things, so we just have to wait till we
Yeah.
hear back from the finance committee and our town accountant, or our,
Yep.
yeah, just to see how many slots. I mean, you know, if they say we can afford 4 or 5 slots, then that's just a number I'm throwing out there, then we'll see if we can come up with 4 or 5 slots. If not, then it's good to have a number to work off of.
First come, first serve. Is that what we talked about?
Well, no, it would probably be a lottery, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
can discuss that
Throw
too,
names in
but,
the hat and pull out the tent or whatever, how many slots we got. That type of thing.
Right, well, again, it's all, we gotta come up with a criteria.
That's what
yeah.
it
And
is, yeah.
and decide.
I thought we might have talked about it at one point, but I think
We
we were
really
just
didn't, because
bantering it.
yeah, more of a banter, because we looked at what the other, like, towns or cities had, like, some
Yeah.
had some of them had an income
yeah.
type scale that they looked at as well, so,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, so we'll have to,
Would it be possible to look at the library though, or to reach out to them, Chris, just to see? Because I know they have people that volunteer their time for free, but I also don't want to be taking advantage of the seniors and not offering it possibly to them for doing a job at the library that they're now currently doing for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to take their generosity for granted. if this is something that we can offer them in lieu of their time. I know in the summer they had the children's arts and crafts that I'm sure they could use help with, because that room's full with kids. And there's usually only one body in the room at that time. The reading, the other events that they have in the afternoons and stuff, I'm sure they could use somebody there. So if we can just reach out to library and see if there's a possible opening. I mean, if they're good and they don't want anyone, fine, but I think it's something that we should ask them.
Yeah, I don't think there's, yeah, that's why I would want to ask them. Let's see if there's something they can use. And like I said, looking at what we have now, we don't have really that many spots, so,
Yeah.
and depending on how many spots we'd have available, I'd like to, again, like I said, if we had 4 or 5 spots, I'd like to try to fill those 4 or 5 spots somewhere.
Right.
All right. Let's see here. Update the charge for West Street Building Committee and cost of the building.
I haven't heard back from the architect on updating the cost. But there is a proposed charge in the old business folder.
Oh, you got it.
I got that in front of me. Square footage for office space and record. Did everybody see this?
No.
So
Yeah.
it's West Street Building Committee charge. First one is contact municipal departments, determine square footage needed for office space and record storage. Number 2 is review the 2018 West Street School Reuse Committee report. Number 3 is review building original blueprints and tour the building for current conditions. And number 4 is develop options regarding the building and cost estimates for each option.
For number 1, do we want to add to that, like, their ideal setup, what they would need? Or does that pretty much get taken care of when it says space and
I'm sorry, Kristen, what's that?
So for the different municipal departments, do we want to add, when we're asking the West Street Building Committee to determine the square footage by going to the different municipal departments needed for office space and record storage, should we have them ask, like, what would be their ideal setup? Because obviously they're working with an existing room now, so they're working with what they have, but is there an ideal setup that they need that would be more
Well, I think that's what they're gonna look at as far as to what amount of square footage will they need to set their design up, how they
Right.
want it. I
So
mean,
are we asking them to design their room, basically, I guess is what I was thinking of for number 1.
I don't know if they actually have to
Okay.
That's the
know.
architect.
So we'll
No,
have the
no.
architect do that?
What you're doing is asking them, how much room do you need to operate?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Basically, that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
yeah,
How many
They're-
file
we're not-
cabinets and stuff like that,
We're not gonna turn around and
or
have them
no?
all become architects and design their
Yeah.
own workspace. Okay?
Yeah.
So how many, like, file like how, I guess, how do they determine their
Chris,
space?
are you aware of any law about square footage per employee?
No,
No.
no.
So basically they'll look at what maybe the current space they have.
And see if they need
If they
more.
feel it's adequate for what they need, then they'll probably say that's what the space is that they need. Or they think they may need more space for additional maybe equipment or just desk or filing cabinets and so on and so
Okay.
forth. That's what they
Because I
can
think
put in the
some of
plan.
the storage is
Yeah.
not in the room with them, right?
Yeah, so that's what they'll look at.
Okay.
And then obviously, I mean, when it comes to designing them, sure that each area would have their input for the use.
And for number 2, we have the report, but I don't believe the committee had the 2018 West Street School Reuse report. So I think that would be a good idea for them to review that report, because they didn't know what the 3 options were prior to the meeting the last time they came in. They were just asking what was going on with West Street.
So number 4 is for develop options regarding the building cost estimates for each option. Was that already done?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I mean, that was already done in the last study.
I don't think an actual cost was gotten to actually raise the building. I don't think, we're looking for a projected cost estimate, but they may change how they're gonna use the building. Because originally, I think it was to build 2 individual buildings and raise the West Street building, okay? They may wanna look at trying to renovate a building instead of raising and building them. I don't know. We're leaving that up to them to make that determination.
There was 3 options in the report,
Yeah.
though. One
I
of
thought
them
there
was
was
to
that.
raise
There
it,
was
one of
that,
them was to renovate it, and one of them was to,
I guess my thing is before we charge them with that, we should actually find out what the town's gonna do with the building. Because that's gonna be on the, at
I think you
the
gotta-
next town meeting, decide
Yeah.
what they wanna do with the building. So before we put them, with that charge, I think we gotta, I mean, like I said, that was already done, and I think that's what we're kinda waiting for that, call back from the architect to kind of see where we would be with figures in
The update, yeah.
today's day and age versus, from the
9 years.
2018 report. But again, I think that hold off on number 4 until the town decides what they want to do with the building. Because if the town votes to tear down the building, then doesn't really.
And there's no need for a committee at that point.
Yeah.
That's just a straight number.
Yeah.
You contact Associated Builders and say, or Associated Records and say, how much does it cost to take down a 40,000 square foot building?
Yep.
That's a straight number.
But it's still helpful, because after that's said and done, we still need to, you know, what's option B for us, for our town offices?
And why can't this committee go and decide we're going to agree with that? And then let them go out and get the current estimates if we can't get an updated figure. Why can't we have that committee go and do that too, if it comes down to it?
Well, they would, but I'm just saying I'd wait till after our January,
Well, we need
start
figures
the step.
before we even put it on that. You talk about the town meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we need some figures on it, whether we're only gonna, whatever they just decide, all right, we only wanna do this part. You know, is it even feasible? And that's what the numbers that they're gonna work with the architect to see.
right, so we're hoping that we get
Yeah.
those numbers. I don't think.
Yeah. I think you gotta do it in pieces.
Well, that information's not gonna be, I find it hard to believe that information wouldn't be available for a January meeting. And we had this conversation before, and I said then, that it would take a longer time than when, that's when we were talking about having a meeting at the end of November. But like I said, I know the 2018 study had the 3 options in it. And we're looking for a cost update on those to kind of see where we would be as far as information.
It's a 3 or 4 options.
I thought there's 3 options.
yeah, the, sell it. That was one of them.
Oh, sell it,
Yeah.
sell it, yeah.
Because we asked the old committee about, they pretty much covered everything on it.
I do think for 3 though, Chris, I think the, when you said review building, original blueprints, and tour building for current condition, would this be go along with or would the building inspector and maintenance go as well? Just to look for any new damage or anything, because they were there. I don't know if actually the building inspector and everybody else was there or not, but,
I don't think the building inspector needs to go there.
okay.
But they can invite who they want to invite. They want maintenance to go, if they want the fire department to go, if they want somebody else to go. That's up to the committee to make that decision.
Yeah.
I just don't want to hamstring them and just say, well, you need to do this, 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 and this. Then what's the use of having the committee if the board has already made a decision of what you want done? And that's all I'm saying. I'm just putting it out there.
When they were here, they just wanted to help in the movement along of this, that they felt that it was just sitting there, it's a building that we could use or we need to do something with. And I know Micheline Turgeon was one of them that wanted to be charged with number one. She's like, can we at least go out and do this for you guys?
Well, I agree with that, and that's why it's being, again, put on the agenda, if you will, for our town meeting. The town's gonna decide what they want to do with the building. And again, I think either way, we're still gonna need to know
The cost.
the cost. I think it's, you know, for,
So were you just waiting?
yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that the architect or our architect gets back to us. I know Lou Berry had mentioned too, if we have trouble getting contact, maybe he can make a phone call to see if they'll, you know, reach out to Chris in regards to that. I think that's important. It's an important number to have going forward.
Yeah. Did they not call you back, Chris? That's what you said, the Associated Building Wreckers?
No, I didn't call them.
Oh, okay.
I was asked to contact Roy Brown,
Right, Brown, right.
Okay.
the architect,
Yep.
Okay,
for his updated figures.
okay.
So,
And you reached out to him and haven't heard back, correct?
For all I know, he may be retired now, who knows?
Yeah.
well, I mean, like I said, it's a start, it's a charge from to move forward with. That could be added on or could be different as we move forward. I'd definitely like to get an updated cost from that.
So they're doing 1, 2, and 3, and we're still tabling 4?
Yes.
I can't read that part.
I mean, the original report from 2018 has options.
Yeah, yeah, I
Has
remember.
all the different options in there.
Yes, they do.
So I think it's just a matter of the cost that's associated with each option.
Well, no, they might come up with different options. But
But again, that was the whole point of the last, when we met, is that we had a committee together. They gave the town a report. And I think it said, you know, I think it's raise the building, sell the building, abandon the building, or renovate the building. I don't know how many more options it could possibly be. I think it really covers it. Keep it, sell it, destroy it, fix it up.
Well, one of the other options that was talked about is we renovate part of it for office space and then rent out the other part to businesses. That was another option that was put out there, to have it generate revenue in addition to, at the same time as
Yeah.
housing office spaces.
It's always a possibility. It just comes into the cost associated with that to make it able to rent it out to people, usable
I'd say
space.
you charge them where they let them do their thing. We'll get the cost at the end of it, one way or the other, the updated cost. We already know what the whole cost, right?
Yeah. So.
New
So,
minds, new
it's-
ideas.
Yeah, well, no,
Will
I
it
know.
work?
But I said I think moving forward, it's the charge of what they need to do. Starting off, I think it's important, the square footage needed for the office space. And that they want to review the 2008 West Street School, so we'll have to get all copies each each committee member, and let them review it and go from there. And see what they're actually.
Yep, no, I agree with that. Let them,
Actually, I'd be curious to have them, have a meeting with them after they have a chance to review, the 2018, reuse committee report. After they have a chance to review it, maybe they come back to us and speak a little bit on what their thoughts are at that particular time.
well, they're gonna have to talk to a lot of people. I don't think it's gonna be ready for, we're talking January.
No.
I mean, I don't think it'll be ready probably till May meeting.
Yeah. But I'd like to hear some feedback from them after they read the report, though.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of them said they didn't have a chance, they haven't read it.
Yeah.
There's one on,
I know Dan Carey wants to walk through with them, the state rep.
yeah, I know who he is.
Okay.
No, I'm trying to think, was there someone on that we appointed this committee, that was on the last committee?
Yeah, Steve Janaki.
Steve Shinaki, yeah. So. yeah. Okay, so,
Charge them.
charged
They
with
come
that.
up with.
Yep.
So they're getting charged with all four now?
We can
Board's
charge-
back on the table?
Well, we can charge them with all that, but I mean, they're gonna go in order anyways.
Yeah.
And it's gonna
Okay.
take some time to do that. Like I said, I'd like to hear back from the committee, after they read, the 2008 report and see what their thought process is with it at that point. But maybe, like I said, Chris will hear back from, Mr. Brown, on an updated figure, sooner than later, and we can go from there. But I think as Chris said too, is another option was talk about, renovating the building,
Half of it.
half it, and renting the other part out or something like that, which is a possibility. It's another option. And I like to, that the committee, sounds like the committee may look at something like that as well.
And then the senior center would stay here then, if that was the case?
I hope
Is it
not.
Not necessarily.
No.
We may have
Okay.
space for all the offices up there.
Okay.
We'll see.
There should be retail here.
Okay.
Not much retail anywhere anymore nowadays. It's fading fast. Okay. We have the update on the open meeting law complaint.
In the old meeting folder, old business folder is town council's response that was sent to both the Attorney General's office and to the complainant.
Yep.
Have we heard back from the AG?
No, haven't heard back from the AG.
Anybody have any questions in regards to it?
No, I think Attorney O'Toole did a great job drafting it, and I agree with everything that he said. So now, says I hope you are satisfied by this response and that we may consider this matter resolved. So if we don't hear anything, then it's resolved? Is that how
No,
it
I
works?
usually get a notification from them.
We'll get a notification from Attorney General, the
Okay.
AG's office.
Yeah.
But I believe he did have a conversation with the complainant. He agreed with a couple of his points, but he was willing to accept it as a response.
Okay.
Update on the petition turned in by Carrie Nats at our last meeting.
After the last meeting, we brought the 3 petition papers to the Board of Registrars
Yep.
for certification of the signatures. We did receive them back. I believe the Board of Registrars is only able to certify, I think, 79 of the 110 signatures. Therefore, it is not required to put that article on the next special town meeting. However, I would still like to at least notify the planning board that this topic was raised so that they can have the opportunity to address it during their regular meetings.
No, I think that's a great idea, Chris, a great point. And it falls under the purview anyways, of the
Yep.
planning board.
It's a zoning bylaw
Zoning
change.
bylaw change, yep.
Was she notified that we only had 79?
Not yet.
Okay,
We only got these in on Friday,
okay.
so.
But it is standard procedure that you guys call and notify her and let her know?
Well, we don't have a phone number for her, so we will
Or the email?
put it in writing.
Okay.
Yep. Anything else? Regards to that?
Last thing on the paper. Old letters.
Can I just bring up 2 more topics while we're...
Sure.
I mentioned the tree lighting ceremony for the town of Granby at the last meeting.
You
You
did?
did, yep.
It is going to be on Sunday, December 4th at 6 PM at the Public Safety Complex. We have gotten the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church to allow us to use the downstairs hall again. We've already gone through and found the bakery to make some cookies. We got a hold of Santa, and Santa, I believe, has agreed to come to Granby that night, so the little ones can sit and talk to him.
Good job.
Nice.
And we are hopefully talking with the fire department to see if maybe he can come in on the fire truck
All right,
to there, so.
yeah.
The only thing we're trying to do is we haven't had a chance to get a hold of the school yet to see if we can maybe get the music program to come and lead us in caroling.
I was just thinking about caroling, I think that'd be a
And,
nice touch.
because I think last year or the year before, we ended up doing, I think it was the Boy Scouts we ended up having to get because the school couldn't do it at
Yeah.
that point. So we're hoping that the school will be able to assist us.
Okay.
And the second item I wanted to bring up is normally in December, the board holds a holiday dinner for the seniors here. Does the board wish to do that again this year?
I'd like to.
Last year, it was a curbside meal.
Curbside, yeah.
However, this year, I think I would like to try and do a actual sit-down meal.
Yeah, I'd like to too. I like, it's more of a
Be fun.
fun, it was, I know a couple years that was part of it. It's nice when the seniors get the opportunity to see everybody and talk to people and serve their food and things like that, so. But I think we can do it both ways too, for those people.
Well, what we would do, what we normally do, even if we have a sit-down,
Yeah.
we have meals to go
To go.
for the shut-ins.
Yep,
We get a list of that, and then we just make those up
Right.
for them and send them
but we
out.
may still get some people that just don't feel comfortable coming out still, so it's fine
So
too.
then they can call and say,
Yep.
I'd rather it be
Yeah,
a delivered meal, whatever.
And do we have that here, Chris?
yes.
Okay. Catered, or do we cook?
We usually use the local catering company, Barry Bernier,
Okay.
to prepare the meal for us.
You thought that was funny?
No, unless you want to cook, Crystal, that's fine too.
I don't think we have. here to cook it. How many people we usually get? 100?
I plan on 100 meals normally.
Piece of cake.
Figure we can sit probably 65 to 70
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
And then, I don't know how many shut-ins we've done, how many meals we've actually
Yeah.
sent out before, but I think 30 meals would be easily sent out to
Yeah.
Longmont
Yeah.
seniors. We just need to pick a date so that we can start making the arrangements.
Any idea? Do we need to talk with Council on Aging Director to see if she wants input? Or should we just pick a date?
She's the one who asked.
She's the one who asked? Perfect.
Do you guys normally do this in December before the holidays or after the holidays?
Before.
Okay.
Day of the week, weekend?
We usually don't do weekend.
Yeah, usually,
Yeah, I
it's
forgot what
usually
we
like
did
a
last year.
Thursday.
A week, it's usually a weekday.
Yeah,
Like
And
Thursday?
a lot of times it's a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Yeah, I thought it was Thursday last year.
I remember doing them on a Thursday a lot.
Well, I'm pretty wide open on Thursdays, so.
Pick a date. I'm all open to it myself.
We can do December 15th, which is a
Right in the middle?
Thursday. Yeah, right in the middle, so it's kind of like the week before the holiday.
Do we do 5 usually, 5:30?
We do it during the day.
Oh, no, it's a luncheon.
The
Oh, luncheon, okay.
It's a luncheon.
Yeah.
So the 15th?
You guys said dinner, so I thought it was that night.
What's a turkey?
Uh,
Dinner?
I would think either the 8th or 15th, either of those two dates, so
I think the 15th would be
Okay.
good for me.
that works for me. I can make it happen. We usually do 11 o'clock, 11:30?
11:30?
Yeah.
We usually tell the board members 11 to make sure they're here on time.
Yeah, because then I get here for 11:30.
That's what it was last time. Yeah, you get here at 11:30, yeah.
And I'll call Ed. Is it 11:30 or 11?
Yeah.
They had it on here. We did it last year at the 15th.
Yeah, see, there we go, perfect. All right. Does anybody have anything else for our next meeting?
Get that date off.
I'll do more research on the community one-stop application. But there's been a couple community members that have pointed out that we still haven't updated our community compact, and I reached out to our representative Carrie and Mindy Dobb, and it sounds like it was something that was started in the Baker administration, but I don't know how heavily it's looked upon.
Okay.
I actually forgot to ask Senator Lesser if he knew. Do you guys know if that's something that they look for when they're giving you grants? Like, do
No.
we have to update it?
Every year they send out a letter that says, we're accepting applications. And they usually have like 5 areas that they will accept applications for. You
Okay.
just decide under which one you want to apply.
Okay, so it's not like you apply for all 12? Because that's what they made it sound like when I was reading it.
Well, you can if you want to, but
Okay.
chances are,
You're not gonna-
you're not going to get everything.
Okay,
Usually you pick 1 or 2
okay,
and then try and go for that way. When the program first came out, they wanted you to rank your needs.
okay,
You've never had to do that since then,
okay,
okay? It's just that every year they come out with a letter that says, Community Compact is starting up again. Here are the areas that you can apply for. It's usually like, I want to say it's like 5 different areas that you can do it
so that's separate from the community one-stop?
in. Yes.
Okay,
That's called the Community Compact Cabinet.
cabinet, okay.
Anything else, Chris?
Did they come out with that yet, Chris, for this year?
Yeah, because I believe the collector applied for funding for a new collection software.
Okay. Did we miss a deadline, like for anything else?
Yeah. deadlines.
Okay.
Yes.
So do they send it out like in January or something? Because it's for the following fiscal year, right? So there's gotta be probably like an
No,
April deadline.
I
or
can't
something.
remember when it comes out. I'd have to
I'll
go
look it
back
up.
and look. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay. So, but when I search it, I would look for Community Compact Cabinet and see.
CCC, yeah.
Okay.
There's your abbreviation.
A quadruple C, Commonwealth Community Compact Cabinet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just so you know, remember your question what LSI meant?
Yes.
It's Landscape Structures, Inc. It's what all the structures were from,
Okay.
was the company called
Yes.
Landscape Structures.
Okay.
So that's what LSI stands for.
Thank you.
See, now where I work, LSI is completely different.
Yes, it is. No, I went back and looked at some prior emails to try and figure it out. That's what it comes down to.
Thank you.
Anything else, Crystal?
No, because we have to figure out the pay for the COA before we put together a committee. Yeah.
I do want to reschedule our meeting with the school committee and the finance committee, the one we had scheduled for October 17th, that was canceled. We couldn't attend.
Yeah.
So I know it's just me and you, probably can give a couple dates to the school committee and the finance committee and see if we can all come together another time.
Yeah, I have been informed, I believe, that the school business manager will be leaving,
I heard that.
January.
that he is going to another community. Again, another community stealing our qualified individual, and it comes down to paying benefits again.
That's
So,
too bad.
But that's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening, actually, it's happening across the whole state.
Well, it's happening in the private sector too.
Yeah. But
It's just because people.
it gets even worse for communities
Yeah.
because there's a shortage of
Yeah.
certified or qualified individuals that
There's
perform
a
these jobs.
shortage of electricians, plumbers, just so many different things out there, it's just, and that's what's happening a lot of, whether it's been, different cities and towns, municipalities, or,
Teachers.
private industry, they're, because they need people just like other people do, and it's unfortunate, but it's happening, so.
Even corrections, although you guys
Yeah,
just gotta.
it's the same thing.
People, yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to look at a couple dates. Maybe just reach out to the finance committee and the school committee, just have them toss out some dates next
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
month or so that would work for everybody. Or some dates that would work for them, and we can kind of look at ours, they can look at theirs, and we'll pick a date at that point, but.
It could even be a special meeting night.
Yeah, it helps out maybe just being an off night too, where,
Yeah, probably.
yeah, so that people don't have their attendance to worry about. So I'll bring that back to, the school committee, and then look at the dates, and actually I'll reach out to the finance committee. Okay.
Do you want to reach out, or do you want us to reach out?
Why don't you reach out and have them just send it to you, Chris, so that way, we can, you can let us know what their dates are available.
Yeah, then you can just email us the
Yeah.
dates.
Yep. Okay.
Rick, you have anything?
I have
I have
something, but I can't remember. Something.
All right.
I just have a question. What is our role in the budgetary, or the budget process?
The what?
The budget process, because
For-
we're gonna be doing it for, next fiscal year. So I'm obviously not gonna be part of the school committee, meeting, because I work for the school. But what is our role with the other departments?
Basically,
So-
what Chris gives them is a rough estimate as of how much they can, if they can increase their budget by a certain amount.
What we can afford as a town?
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll bring their budget to us, what they feel that, what they need to operate their department for the following year.
Okay.
Not
we'll look at
every
it.
department comes in front of you. The
Okay.
elected boards do not come in front of the selectmen.
Well, I
Okay.
mean.
You only meet with the departments that are under your
Right,
control.
so the
Okay.
fire
Highway.
department, police department,
Highway, building
council,
inspection,
the council
public-
agent.
Yes, public buildings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then as far as any planning, Or capital improvements, do they come in front of us and let us know what they anticipate?
Capital improvement goes in front of the capital improvements committee.
Okay, so all the different departments that want capital improvements go in front of that committee and
Anything
then,
more than 25,000.
okay,
If it's less than 25,000, they put it in their budget submission that would come to you.
okay. And so when do we know when capital improvements are happening? As this,
Which ones?
just the ones that are over the 25,000. So how, do we get notified of that?
Once they
or-
meet and vote on it.
Okay,
They hold a public hearing and then they review each one of them and they approve or disapprove at their meeting.
okay. And do they have their own budget? Like their own account where there's money in there for capital improvements?
Well, it all depends what size
How
item
much?
is being put
Okay.
forth from. Because it may require borrowing, it may require something else, who knows?
Okay. All right,
So,
thank you.
All right, well, with that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion to adjourn.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.